It was a somewhat overcast day as I perched on my balcony trying to be nonchalant. I was waiting for my guests to arrive. Interestingly, 2 cars with 2 couples parked on the street in front of my loft simultaneously. I looked from one to the other, trying to decipher which were my next appointment as they both walked directly towards me. One woman was wearing leggings and a baggy shirt. The other, I noticed, was in pleather pants and a tight sweater. Bingo! She was blonde and she was really, really hot. What follows is the story of 2 femdoms and a poor, pitiful, submissive husband. Hello, my pets, and welcome into the dungeon, the podcast for submissives and dominants to learn, grow, be entertained, and to ultimately find empowerment in their lifestyle. I'm your host, Kat Nash, the Music City Dominatrix. And today's episode is a kinky story time. A kiss and tell, but with whips instead of kisses. So settle in and prepare to be titillated. Despite being a professional dominatrix for several years and a femdom for longer, I had never had a co-topping scene. So for those of my listeners unfamiliar with the term, co-topping is when 2 people top a person or several people. So think of it as 2 people playing with a toy, or sometimes several toys. But in this case, one poor, abused, sissy submissive husband. My prior experience with co-topping entailed just chatting with another femdom as a foot slave massaged and worshipped our feet. It was hot. It was fun, but it wasn't the playing off each other's exchange of energy and ideas that I now know tends to happen in co-topping scenes. Lexi was a local femdom who lived a 24/7 dynamic with her husband. Not only was she the boss in the relationship, but they enjoyed a very active BDSM lifestyle. Hubby, or subby hubby, I'll refer to him henceforth as hubby, was kept under cage and key pretty much all the time. Only allowed freedom for weekly cleanings and the occasional use as his femdom desired. Lexi left subby hubby in the car as we met and got to know each other a little. In all honesty, I was nervous as fuck about this session. I didn't know these people. I mean, we'd had several email exchanges regarding setting up an appointment, but not much detail about what they were interested in a session. I did know that Lexi wanted to find a co-topping femdom to play with and occasionally send subby hubby to keep him constantly submissive, even when she's out of town or, just couldn't be bothered with the energy it takes to maintain a deep, strict dynamic like theirs. I was nervous about this session because I'd never co-topped. I had fleeting desires to message and cancel the appointment, mainly because my fear of failure, my self-sabotage, typical human things that, despite what some of you think, femdoms and dominatrixes actually are real fucking people. But I reminded myself that this year, 2026, is my year to say yes to my whims, my desires, adventures, dreams, and it's my year to get comfortable with getting uncomfortable. Because I know that in that discomfort is where some of the grandest adventures and the deepest growth come. So I was about to get real deep in that. I was not going to back down from this new experience, despite me being intimidated by it. Also, Lexi was fucking hot and almost 20 years younger than me. So this also upped the insecurity factor. But I didn't need to be that fearful or anxious, I guess is a better word, because as soon as I met Lexi, we vibed. She later said that she wasn't intimidated or fearful at all because they'd been listening to my podcast and listening in the car. She felt like she already knew me. That explains why I immediately felt comfortable with her. I think I could just empathically feel her comfort with me. But we briefly chatted about the session, then she beckoned Subby Hubby from the car, and then she went and slipped into a very sexy red latex-looking dress, like a bodycon dress. Her husband looked a bit more nervous than she did, and for very good reason. I had him start the session how I typically start sessions, on his knees, giving fealty. This time he had to kiss 2 women's feet and express gratitude to 2 women for us allowing him to serve. Lexi laughed at his efforts. I had him stripped and found a slutty, strappy little red lingerie teddy for him to wear. As it was made for women, it was practically bondage on his bodybuilder physique. Lexi laughed her ass off as she handed him high heels and picked the red braided pigtail wig for him to wear. She sloppily smeared lipstick across his lips to top off his slutty look. I was actually surprised at how decent he looked in the wig. I mean, this guy has no feminine features at all, but somehow it wasn't as ridiculous as some wigs look. Lexi and I then sat and made commentary about him as we instructed Subby Hubby to dance for us. Apparently, this is a regular occurrence at their house. Hubby gets sissified and instructed to dance and lap dance, while Lexi laughs and scoffs at him. Hubby just smirked and did whatever the fuck his hot wife told him to do. Despite the humiliation of her laughter, she seemed to revel in fucking with him with absolutely no remorse. It was enchanting to see a woman so confident and so empowered in her control over her man. Add to that the fact that I'm pretty sure she's a sadist, and it was a wild and intoxicating session. We strapped Subby Hubby to a spanking bench and tried out some of my impact toys. Hubby safe-worded yellow pretty fucking quickly, and Lexi teased him and told him he was embarrassing her. I've nicknamed, in my mind, I know her name is Lexi, but to me, she's Lexi, the male ego slayer. That's, in my mind, that's her Femdom superhero name, because that's what she fucking did. She slayed the male ego and laughed in its face. We gave him some time to acclimate to lighter spankings as the teasing and humiliation continued. Apparently, poor little sissy Subby Hubby has a strong gag reflex, so I wasn't able to gag him with my dildo gag like I really wanted to shut him up. But we compromised by having him prop it up against the headrest and suck on it, with the warning that he did not want to see what would happen if he dropped that dildo gag out of his mouth. It was surprisingly an effective threat, and he sucked that dildo like his life depended on it. Lexi mentioned that rubbing ice on a welted bottom and then beating it some more actually causes it to hurt more. I'd never even thought of that or tried it, so we had to test that out. I checked my mini fridge and my only ice cubes were frozen ice butt plugs. I had meant to just rub them on his bottom, but when Lexi discovered that I had never actually used them as butt plugs, we were both pretty intrigued. She unceremoniously crammed the smallest plug into her bent over and exposed and tied down husband. The poor little sub did his best to take it and answer our questions about what it was like. I probably shouldn't have encouraged her to try the next biggest one, but I did. And this one was a bit too much for her sub, who had a tone of panic in his voice as he reminded her of a previous incident that was not pleasant. And so we quickly unstrapped him and sent him hobbling to the restroom to figure it out. Of course, Lexi, the ego slayer, was giggling at him and laughing the whole time. When he came back, there were more beatings. His ass was now welted red with purple streaks. We reveled at the marks left by the lollipop rubber impact toy and the handmade wooden Jack Knox paddles that left tic-tac-toe welts. There was minimal bleeding. He was in a chastity cage the whole time, but Lexi was able to shock his penis with both an electric prod and the ultraviolet wand. His nipples were wildly sensitive, so shocking them caused him to be extremely audible. The entire time, Lexi laughed and teased him. I've never seen a femdom take so much genuine pleasure from torturing and demeaning her sub, to the point where I would have felt sorry for the guy for being so demasculated, except for the obvious fact that he was wildly in love with her and felt like the luckiest man in the world to be hers and to be tortured by her. The session ended with him massaging and worshiping my feet as Lexi changed into more comfortable clothing. I feel like I'm missing some details of our session, but I think you get the gist. It was fucking hot. It was wild. It was empowering playing with another woman who found so much genuine joy in torturing a man. And it was really, really fun playing with a submissive who was such a heavy bottom. This dude took a lot of pain, not to mention the nonstop humiliation. The entire session replayed in my mind for days. I have so many questions for Lexi that I can't wait to meet for coffee and just chat about her dynamic. I'm so intrigued. And with permission, I'll share with you guys what I learn and grow from. I hope you enjoyed the story time, even a minuscule fraction of the amount that I enjoyed this wild fucking session. It just goes to show you that when you step outside of your comfort zone, when you stretch yourself beyond the familiar, there is so much potential for excitement, for growth, and for fun. Thank you for joining me this week on Into the Dungeon. Questions, comments, and podcast ideas or requests can be submitted via email, thewildcreatrix@gmail.com. Adversely, you can find my offerings and session info on my webpage, which is www.kat-nash.com. So that's KAT-NASH.com. And stay tuned for exciting new opportunities for in-person trainings and classes for submissives, sissies, and Femdom training. Whether you're new to BDSM and think, hey, I want to be a Femdom, or if you've been in the lifestyle for years and want to fine-tune your personal dynamic. If you're interested in this, feel free to drop me an email and just let me know which of these you're interested in. So you'll be literally like the first to know when I actually schedule these events, and you can look at your calendar and see if it's something that you're able to come to. I don't have any scheduled yet. So like I said, I'm in the beginning phases, but 2026, dude, this is the year to do things outside of your comfort zone and say yes to all these ideas that are ruminating in your mind. And for me, that's creating in-person classes for my listeners, which I hear you guys want. So feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I look forward to our next chat. Until then, stay kinky, my pets.